the close of play with England 22 for no wicket, 214 runs behind after Sri Lanka made 236. They were 6 for 3. They were 92 for 6. The last 4 wickets added 144, led by the captain Dhananjaya de Silva. Excellent 74 before he was caught at leg slip off Bashir. Jayasuriya hung around. He made 10. Ratnayaka on his debut, unknown really, coming in at number 9, 72 from 135 balls. He played so well with the lower order. Vishwa Fernando, 13 from 62 balls, was very stubborn, kept him company. 3 wickets for Wokes, for Bashir, a couple for Atkinson, and 1 for Mark Wood. So there we go. I've got Russell Arnold with me. I've got Michael Vaughan with me as well. Well, Russell, an interesting day. I think probably Sri Lanka, well, they did 2 things right at the end there. They came out and gave it a go with the spinners in the dark. They couldn't bowl the faster bowlers. But once England had rattled up 20 odd, and bearing in mind that Sri Lanka only made 236, you call it off, don't you? So that's enough, and we'll come back tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what you do. But I did think they could have been a bit more patient because there was a bit of bite. But I felt they were trying a few too many things, the bowlers in those 4 overs. But there was definitely an opportunity to probably sneak in a wicket.
You just don't see it, do you? Two spinners, not here anyway. I mean, you might do in India or some continent, Bangladesh or somewhere, but very rarely you see that. And opening batsmen just simply aren't really used to playing spin.
Yeah, but in a funny kind of way, it works for Dan Lawrence because he's used to going in against spins. So Sri Lanka had a go. It's been a day that, when Sri Lanka was 6 for 3, I just thought that England would be batting mid-afternoon. They'd be bowled out for 120, 130, and England would have a lead. But Sri Lanka, they always find a bit of spirit. That's been a trait of theirs for many, many years, that you think you've got them, and suddenly, the captain played really well. I thought he looked in fantastic form. He made batting look quite easy against some quick bowling from Mark Wood. Yeah. And then Ratnayaka on debut. Well, what a left-hander he is to come in and play the way that he did. He seemed to time his punches perfectly. Every time he needed a boundary, he just seemed to have the flourish of the bat to find the boundary. I still feel it's a long way under par.
Yeah.
And Sri Lanka will have to bowl incredibly well tomorrow, take every chance. But you never know, there's rain due. When rain comes here in the UK, it brings a bit of moisture, and you just don't know. Tomorrow, the pitch might do more tomorrow than it did today, and it might do it a little bit quicker, which might give Sri Lanka a chance. But, I don't think England, I look at England and think, could they have done anything more? I look at Mark Wood, has only bowled 8 overs, and could they have brought Mark Wood back into the attack a bit sooner? That's the only little question mark of why Mark only bowled 8 overs and Gus Atkinson bowled 16. That's the only thing I would look at. But I thought England were good, and Sri Lanka, they showed a lot of spirit.
Do you think they're being really protective with Wood? And they've got in their minds a number of overs that they're going to let him bowl before the end of the summer, and actually they're not going to go beyond that. I mean, we don't know the conversations about light that were happening out there, of course. But they do seem to be really wrapping up in cotton wool.
Yeah, I would go as far as saying the reason why Chris Wokes is batting at 7 is because of Mark Wood. That there's no way that England can risk a 4-man attack with Mark Wood being one of the 4 and the spinner. So Mark being one of the 3, it's just not going to be possible.
Yeah,
he's that important to the team that, have they underbowled Mark Wood today? Possibly. But am I that bothered about it? No, because there's a bigger picture about Mark Wood in terms of next year and what they're trying to bring. And he's so important for this team. And when you think Jofra, he's just been playing in the 100, looked pretty good. They're going to try and bring Jofra Archer back into the squad next year to play a bit of Test match cricket against India. And then obviously the Ashes series. You can see what England are trying to do. They've got a clear plan of making sure that when they get down under in a year and a bit's time, they want to have these quick bowlers that they can rotate. Mark Wood, Jofra Archer, Gus Atkinson, Ollie Stone. And let's be honest, for them to compete in Australia and win, they're going to have them all fit. So if you have to wrap them in a little bit of cotton wool before then, I think they're doing the right thing.
I don't know how much you've seen of Mark Wood, or kind of the new Mark Wood in a way. I mean, this is an express Mark Wood these days, isn't it, Russell?
Just love watching him play. Whenever he comes in to bowl, there's a buzz about it. And suddenly things seem to happen quicker. Batsmen hopping around. And the best place to watch Mark Wood is square of the wicket, I would say.
Yes.
Not many bowl at that speed consistently, isn't it? And to let him free, he's got to be used in shorter spells. And just an X factor. Use him sparingly.
Yeah, it's actually now easy to forget that he had such a short run before. That doesn't seem possible now, does it? I mean, it really was a very short run too, and it just looks so much better, this long flowing run that he's got.
I actually found on the ECB website, Mark's broken down how to be a fast bowler. I've watched it just recently, and a lot of it is to do with the run-up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like this big gallop that gathers all his momentum and into the crease, and then he just gives, there's the run-up and the momentum, and then there's the effort. The effort that he puts into every single ball. And when you think, we're talking about Mark Wood, what's he bowled today? 48 balls?
Yes.
There's been a lot of balls bowled today, but we're talking about Mark Wood because he is that style of cricketer that we get excited about. And Test match cricket, the best format, it needs it. It needs pace, it needs a little bit of venom. The ball that got Kushal Mendis out was...
Well,
that is a brutal...
I mean, no one could have played that, could they?
No, I mean...
It was round about just short of a length, just to describe to people, and you can see it on the highlights and so on, but this is the ball that took off from just short of a length, took the thumb glove and looped a second slip. It was a brutal ball.
Yeah, and if that ball is delivered at exactly the same angle and it lands on exactly the same spot at 85 miles an hour, it doesn't do that.
No.
That's what pace does to the ball, to the pitch, to the batter. England will wrap him in cotton wool, and I think all England supporters, they'd like to wrap him in cotton wool as well, because they know how important he is.
Yes.
In a year and a half's time to make sure that England compete in Australia.
No disrespect to the other fast bowlers, but they were rushed by Wood, but seemed like they had a lot more time to play the others. That's what was happening out there.
Yes. What do you think of Atkinson, Russell? Again, you probably haven't seen much of him, but he's had a terrific start to his Test career.
He bowls fuller. He's got pace, but he doesn't use that short ball as much. He doesn't get carried away with it, and tends to surprise players. He's an honest performer. He'll keep coming at you all the time.
Yeah, slippery. I was out there this morning, Michael, with you for the toss. He was bowling a few strips away to the left, and it's quite good to go back into that position again from playing days. And you think, ooh,
he's nippy.
That's slipping through.
He's nippy, and again,
Tough action to pick.
Yeah, I think so. He's kind of whippy, isn't he? And again, on the TV highlights, we've highlighted all his wickets and the areas where he's bowled to get those wickets. I think he's got 25 wickets now in Test match cricket, and they come all the way down the pitch. So he's got wickets bowling full. He's got wickets bowling into length. He's got wickets bowling short to length, and he's got wickets bowling short. And I guess when you're looking for bowlers to bowl in all conditions, you've got to be able to get wickets in all different ways and facets. And that's why they're excited by him. He's also got skill.
Yeah, he's got a lot of different balls.
If you actually think Mark Wood a few years ago, Mark just used to run in and bowl really quick. But I think now Mark's got skill. He can get the ball swinging around. He can get the ball nipping as well. And as much as you don't want to face pace, if it's just coming down at you straight, good players will work away.
Used to it.
Yeah, they'll work away, and they'll work away of getting on top. But if there's just a little bit of movement to go with the pace, it's very difficult to
when
face.
Atkinson's got an out, so he's got a wobble seam, he's got a good slower ball as well, and he showed the ball today.
Yeah, again, it's a summer where I expect England to win every Test match, not to disrespect Sri Lanka, but I think it's a summer. If you were an England bowler, you'd want to put plenty in the bank, store some in the bank and get plenty of confidence from getting plenty of wickets, and that's what Gus Atkinson has done. I mean, you can only do what's in front of you, and so far inside 3 games and one innings, he's looked very, very good indeed.
What do you make of the preparation then, Russell? We talked about it with the West Indies. I mean, surely I just had a good old whinge with Kumar Sangakkara at the back as well, saying it can't carry on like this. It can't carry on. And it's not just teams coming here. It's teams going all over the world. I'll give them one game to get out there. And they haven't played Test cricket since, April. It's all been white ball. They're coming to England, completely different conditions. One game they got rolled over, and then they're into playing a 3 Test series, bang, 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 all consecutive games. I mean, it's not a great omen for Test cricket, is it? I mean, how can Test cricket survive with that sort of preparation when players really aren't ready to play it?
The technique that's required is very different to what we grew up in the subcontinent. So how you react, you need a little bit of time to get a feeler for these different pressures that you might find. Because under pressure, you might have some thought process of how to score runs or how to adjust. But the moment the pressure is on, you fall to default mode, and that's the technique you use back in the subcontinent. And hence you need a bit more time to train yourselves to hold those disciplines. the options to score runs, which will definitely be very different here, and hence another game would have been really nice. In our days, we had plenty county cricket.
I was going to ask you about that, because
we
when you
used
were
to play.
touring, you'd play a number of games, and the test matches were not following each other.
There was a lot of cricket that we get to play. Tours lasted 2 months, but of course that also comes with the fact that there was not as much cricket played in those days, maybe 10, 15 years ago. So the opportunities were there for these games to be dished out for us or prepared, and end up playing one test match.
Yes, well, that was also crazy. do you worry about it, Michael? I mean, we've had 2 teams here now, and it's very early days in this series, but at 92 for 6, it's very tempting to say, well, they're undercooked as well. West Indies, we know they were. You know, is this really what?
No,
you want?
the actual preparation doesn't worry me as much, because I've seen England go to Abu Dhabi pre-Pakistan last year away from home. They played golf.
Yes.
They played a 4-day game. They cut it short after 2 days because they felt they were ready. Went to Pakistan. They won quite convincingly. I just think the modern player, they are so much better prepared to play cricket that their bodies just kind of naturally will play the game because they do it so much more often than we did. The worry that I have is kind of below the kind of first team level of all the national countries. I just think there's so much money that England, Australia and India have in terms of their pathway development of players. There's now a conveyor belt that's going to be created, because England can send all their young players overseas, from 15 years of age right through to the 19s, to the Lions, give them so much opportunities, give them expertise with wonderful coaches, machinery, technology. I just don't think these other teams have that.
Yeah.
Now, the Sri Lankans, the Bangladesh, West Indies, they just don't have the money to be able to prepare the pathway players well enough, like the Australians, Indians and the England teams. And I just think the gulf's going to get bigger and bigger unless the ICC step in and give a fund of money, for the development of all the players underneath the first team, because that's where it has to start. You have to get the foundation right. You have to give these countries the right facilities to produce players. You can't just rely on a Muralitharan arriving, or a Kumar Sangakkara, or a Mahela Jayawardene. You have to do some early stage coaching and embed them with the foundations to play the game, and it takes a lot of money.
Yes, of course.
I just believe the ICC don't spread the wealth of the game well enough across the board to give all these other countries the chance to prepare players like the top 3. The top 3, in 5 to 10 years' time, I guess, they're going to get bigger and better and stronger unless something is done quite quickly.
Yeah.
A word on the adjustments of your technique and getting used to conditions. Teams coming to the subcontinent, let's say a Western team, Australia, New Zealand, England for that matter, they get to play Spain or subcontinent conditions a lot more, quite frequently. You're traveling to India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka.
Yep.
And hence, in a year, you probably covered 2 of those countries. So you have that understanding. You come out there and play those franchise cricket. So it's a little easier to adjust. But if you take Sri Lanka for that matter, can't remember when they toured England last, when they toured Australia last. So this is kind of a massive change.
Whole new world.
Yes.
Yeah. Except there are some experienced players here. We'll talk about the batting now, because what did you think, Russ, at 6 for 3 and 92 for 6?
Staring down the barrel.
Yeah.
I thought it was a little hard out there. Not more to do with the sideways movement, but a little bit of up and down movement is what put the Sri Lankan batters off. But in between, because of the pressure built by the English bowlers, who gave them nothing, the mistakes crept in, and there were a few soft dismissals. They see that loose ball where they normally see, like in the subcontinent, I told you they've go back to those default positions, and they've brought out shots that they would play out there, and unfortunately that cost a couple of wickets. There are times that you get away with them, but not here. It hurt them.
Yeah, Nishan being one of those, bit of a tempting swinging ball, boom, chased it, nicked it to slip.
Yeah, that's what tends to happen with pressure. Even Karunaratne, nothing in the first 6 overs. He sees something short of a good length. The subcontinent, that will just sit up and he'll pick it up over mid-wicket. Scores lots of runs with that shot. Atkinson getting a bit of extra bounce. And that cost him his wicket. So it is that pressure.
Yeah, it's pressure, and you just can't make mistakes. When you're up against an England side in English conditions, when the ball's just nipping, you've got someone like Chris Woakes who has it on a string. He very rarely bowls badly with the duke ball, and you've got to be technically perfect, and your mind has got to be so strong. You really have to have clear clarity about the game plan. a couple of mistakes early. If they'd have not made those mistakes early, you could have on that wicket, a Karunaratne could have gone big. There wasn't a great deal out there. There was enough in the afternoon to suggest if someone was in a serious, experienced player, they could have got 100 and got Sri Lanka to 350, and that might have been a competitive score. And this might be competitive. You don't know what the conditions are going to be like, but in England, or when we go to Australia, or you go to you've got to be near on perfection. It's such a different kind of league that you're playing in, that you've got to have everything spot on. And unfortunately for Sri Lanka, in the morning session, and the morning was always going to be key. Could they see off that morning session, the first session of the series, just to give the whole team a lot of confidence? They made too many mistakes.
Yeah. If there's one ball that I often look up on YouTube, just
I know what you're going to say.
I want a bit of a giggle.
Carl Hooper, isn't it?
Carl Hooper bowling Nasser sailing Trinidad. Well, we saw another one today.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite the toe end of the boot that Nasser got, but that ball that Chandimal received from Bashir, that was a horrible thing, wasn't it? That'll focus English minds tomorrow, I reckon. If they get a few more of those around, but that's unplayable as well, isn't it?
Well, I saw that type of thing happen only when you're bowling from the Jimmy Anderson end, not from the other. And from outside, the right-hander's off stump. That's where Bashir got it to turn. That's where it kept low as well. So that's a line that the Sri Lankans need to focus on. It was not happening from every part of the pitch. But one of those, well, you'll think, could have got yourself onto the front foot, but that was Bashir's second over. In the first over, there were a few that really did bounce.
Yes.
Inside edge flew over leg slip who wasn't there. And that's the reason the batsman was holding back and trying to give himself time to play it.
Yes.
Yeah, the only thing, Bashir comes from such a high release point that I do think that if there's ever a little bit of unevenness, he's going to extract it from that release of height. You think of how high, you're not going to go forward to his height at that length. You've got to go back, and if there's any kind of low nature, and there was today, it skids on it, it thuds into your pads, and also that extra little bit of bouncy. I thought he actually bowled beautifully today.
Yes.
Again, there was one or two balls, and that low ball gets him the wicket, but there wasn't a great deal of spin from him. He just got the odd ball to kind of move away from the right hand. As you can see that he's changing his angle of his release. He's got plenty of skill, angle of attack in terms of his run-up. Every now and again he's changing where he's landing with that front leg as well. So for a young bowler that hasn't really bowled a great deal, we always talk about spin, you need many years of bowling to get that experience and to get the know-how of how to bowl on certain pitches. So far in his few test matches, he seems to pick up how to bowl on the surfaces that he's given. You go back to Trent Bridge, where in the first innings he bowled completely different to what he did in the second innings when he did get some purchase. I do think England have got, he could end up being a very, very special cricketer with what I've seen so far. And if he keeps improving and keeps learning, he's certainly a bowler that's going to be around for a while.
And he'll have benefited. I know it's a bit frustrating with the fact that they couldn't bowl the quick bowlers, but actually just to be able to bowl, he bowled 23 overs. He wouldn't have bowled that many normally, I don't suppose. Just again to get some test overs and under his belt.
Yeah, and I looked throughout the whole day and I thought, did he bowl a really bad ball? I don't remember him bowling a really bad ball. He didn't bowl, I don't think, any full tosses. Any real kind of drag down, pull me balls.
You want to be critical. He fired one down the leg side. There were 4 byes.
But for a young spinner, if you think that's the one bad ball that he's bowled, it's an amazing amount of control for someone that hasn't had the thousands and thousands of overs that you generally feel that a spinner needs to have.
Last one for you, Russ. You've got to go in a second. Big day tomorrow for Sri Lanka. They've got to get England whistled out quickly.
Yeah, that early wicket is what will keep them in the game. Will give England something to think about because they don't bat deep. So that's for sure. So I think the two seamers, the Fernandos from both ends, if they can get that ball to move, it can be hard because Vishwa Fernando, he has the ability to swing the ball late. Whereas Asita Fernando, short, stocky, gets onto you a lot quicker than you expect.
Simon Mann has been speaking with Chris Wokes.
Well, Chris, what do you make of that day?
I firmly feel we've had a great day, to be honest. Day one, to have bowled a team out on day one of a test match is, really pleasing. And obviously to be none down at the close, is a real positive for us going into tomorrow as well.
What was the thought when you went out to bowl this morning? The captain said at the toss, well, we weren't quite sure whether we were going to bowl or bat. Surface looked pretty firm. Happy about bowling first?
Yeah, I think so. It's one of those, isn't it? You look at an Old Trafford pitch, and it usually can be a good batting surface, and you probably tend to win the toss and bat. But obviously, start of a series against a Sri Lankan team that probably haven't had a huge amount of prep coming into it. we felt that we could have probably won the toss and bowled and probably got into them early, hopefully, if we bowled well. But yeah, I thought we did bowl well, and obviously early wickets is crucial, and thankfully it put us in a good position for the rest of the day.
Well, it was a dream start, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, obviously to have them 6 for 3 is, as you say, is a dream start, and I felt that we kind of adapted to the surface quite well. There was a bit of swing with that big breeze or big gusts of wind across the ground, but also there was a bit to offer with the wobble seam as well, which I thought we put to good use.
Talk us through the Angelo Matthews dismissal.
So I mean, I swung a few away from him, and thankfully, they were moving, as I said, with that breeze across the ground. The ball was moving quite nicely in the air, and then a little bit wider on the crease and a wobble seam, which you don't really expect the ball to nip back that much. But obviously, thankfully, it was a nice delivery which nipped back nicely, and nice to see it hit the knee roll.
And things seemed to work for you today as well, because you went round the wicket and got a wicket straight away. Kaminda Mendis.
Yeah, I mean, you have days like that, don't you, where plans come together, I suppose. It doesn't always work like that. As you said, that was the first ball that we bowled around the wicket to him, and he nicked it. He was actually looking really comfortable up until that moment. So, that was a good wicket. He was looking nice and set. So, yeah, really pleased with that wicket as well.
New captain out there today. What sort of difference did that make out in the middle?
Obviously it's going to be a little bit different. Ben is Ben, and we know what sort of character he is. But obviously Ollie's has been VC to Ben for a little while now, and you can see traits of Ben in the way he went about it. I thought he was very good with his bowlers, communicated well. I think he's probably a little bit more switched on than what he probably has to be usually. As being captain, eyes are always on you, and you have to make some big calls occasionally. So I thought he did brilliantly, and as I said, I think marshalled the troops perfectly well.
Was there lots more advice flying around today? I mean, does Ben sort of do his own thing and people leave him to get on with it? Was there a bit more advice for Ollie out there?
Yeah, I think when you've, a so-called inexperienced captain comes into the side and a younger guy, I think naturally you've got guys probably willing to give a little bit more advice than normal. So there's probably a few more ideas being thrown around. I think as a bowling attack, we took it upon ourselves to definitely talk a lot more than you always have to take the pressure off Ollie a little bit. But as I said, I thought he was great with us, spoke with us well, setting fields, talking about different options. I thought he did a really good job.
A couple of other things. What about that ball that kept low? What are you thinking as players when you see a ball like that got rid of Chandimal, just scuttled along the ground on the first day?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I suppose as a batting unit you have to put out of your mind. Obviously it's one ball of a lot of balls that it happened. So I think as I said, you have to put it out of your mind, and you have to focus on the ball come down and expect it to bounce normally. But you don't usually see that on day one. But thankfully it went in our favour today.
And later on, you talk actually about Ollie Pope's captaincy today. That you had to make the decision to stay out there, keep the spinners on. How frustrating or otherwise was that?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is frustrating when you want to potentially bowl your fast bowlers to the tail enders, but that's just the kind of cards that we were dealt today, I suppose, with the weather and the conditions. But we felt as a team that we could still stay out there and take those 2 wickets without them getting away from us. So yeah, that was kind of the plan. As you said, it had been an easy decision to say, we're not getting it the way we want, and we walk off, and it's not great for the people in the ground. So we also felt that we were good enough that we could, our spinners could do the job and get us those final 2 wickets, which they did.
The ball has turned a bit today, but is that pitch out there good enough for a big first innings score, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've seen today. I mean, it's hard to say that it's going to be exactly the same for the rest of the Test match, but we certainly felt like more of a new ball wicket today. Obviously the new ball and the harder ball certainly did a lot more and had a bit more of invariable bounce. And then as the ball got softer, it's actually looked really nice to bat on, as we saw a couple of guys go past 50 and look fairly comfortable. So, certainly runs to be had. Hopefully we can put a few partnerships together and get up to them and past them, and as you say, put on a big score.
Chris, well bowled today. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much.
That's the plan. Chris Wokes, 3 for 32 from his 11 overs of 3 maidens, talking to Simon Mann. Michael's left us as well. Vic Marks is here for the last few minutes of this podcast. How do you think Ollie Pope did today, Victor?
I think he'll be very happy. I don't think he did much wrong. I was quite interested to hear Chris talking about a different view with your captain, how much you interfere. And I remember when Alistair Cook took over for the first time. You remember he went to Bangladesh and Strauss quite early on in his England career. And I'm pretty sure that right at the start of that series, everyone was rushing up to him with advice, left, right, and centre. I expect Graham Swan was there and someone else was there. And there was a little bit of that today, but not too much. And I'm sure Ollie Pope will be contented. Obviously, at 6 for 3, you think you're going to bowl them out possibly for something significantly under 200. But I don't think they did much wrong out there. They came up against some resistance. They would have taken 230 all out at the start of play.
He did the right thing to keep the spinners going.
I think so, yeah. I mean, and just the sheer point of wanting to keep the entertainment going, which is what this regime is all about. I think he did all that fine. What will be quite interesting, captaincy often has an impact on a batsman, and often initially it's a very positive.
A bounce.
Yeah, and we've seen Pope, the batsman, be quite frenetic at times in his recent England career, even though he's played quite a lot of cricket at the start. And so it might calm him down, take him out of himself. He hasn't got time to worry about his batting because he's got so many other things on his mind. So it'll be quite interesting tomorrow just to see whether it makes any difference to Pope, the batsman.
That's a really good point, yeah. Come on then, with your Somerset hat on, what's happening with Shoaib Bashir? And what's going to happen? It's a remarkable situation.
I know, it's a crazy situation. It's a tricky one, but they're sort of embracing it down at Taunton, I guess, and England. I mean, Bashir's record for England is infinitely better than it is for Somerset. Actually, I think this is quite a nice pitch in that it's not a prodigious term, but there's something there for him, which sometimes is not the case at Taunton. And we're just seeing how it goes. At the moment, Jack Leach, even if Shoaib was there, if Somerset are playing two spinners, Jack Leach gets in the team.
Yes.
That's where we're at. Ideally and quietly, I think it would be great if we could play on surfaces that said, well, let's play two spinners.
Like you used to.
Well, not for a long time, actually. Not for about 5 or 6 years. There's still, there was a suspension and a points docked. And it's not that easy to get that right balance of pitch, so it turns a bit. So, I mean, it's a work in progress. It's amazing that they've got Jack Leach and Shoaib are very close. They get on extremely well, and yet one is replacing the other at county level and the opposite vice versa at England level at the moment. My guess is
is that situation being managed?
At Taunton?
Yes.
Well, it is in the sense that I think Shoaib understands why he's not playing many of the games. He hasn't played. I don't think has he played a championship game this year? I'm not sure he has.
Not for Somerset, do they?
Yeah. So I think Shoaib understands. He's got a very good rapport with Leach. I think everyone's perfectly open about how selection goes. In the last championship game, Shoaib was in the squad, and they wanted to play him, but they decided upon looking at the pitch that it's not going to turn. And as it proved, it didn't turn. Not that it always has to turn.
Well, I was going to say that. Yes.
So they haven't gone with two spinners yet. Perhaps they will. Well, if there's a chance later in the summer, I don't know. Yeah. But it is a work in progress. It's a freakish sort of scenario, and they're working on it.
That's being repeated at Surrey as well.
Well, it is complicated, isn't it? And it's remarkable that as far as we can make out, Folkes Smith, they get on really well. Folkes is helping out the younger man. Likewise, down at Taunton, Jack Leach is giving all his support to Shoaib. As I say, we would expect when they go to Pakistan, Leach and Shoaib will be reunited in an England squad with one or two others as well.
And as a bowler, I mean, he's completely different to you. I mean, he's very tall, very lean, very high release point.
And he gets more energy on the ball. He gets a lot of energy on the ball. He's got a lovely action. He looks more comfortable in the England setup than he does in the Somerset setup, partly because of the surfaces he's played on. But today was a very sort of mature, almost old pro-ish kind of performance. He didn't give that much away. He's often been quite expensive while picking up wickets, but he was, quite canny, in control, got a little bit of turn, but didn't get overexcited. You were saying how he didn't bowl much rubbish. He was quite tight. Yep. I mean, it is bizarre that he can do all that and look so much more comfortable, as it happens at the moment, in the England setup than he does when he makes one of his sporadic appearances at county level. It's an amazing turnaround, and it's a tribute to this England regime that they just go for potential. They're not too worried by performance, and they stick to their guns, and they just have this capacity, McCullum, Stokes, to kind of give these newcomers that wonderful confidence and freedom to go out and show us what you can do without worrying about the things that could go wrong. Yeah. And he looks so comfortable out there. Both of our Somerset spinners, they just love playing for Ben Stokes or McCullum in this England setup.